And the Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi, raised serious concerns over the functioning of the CBI, over the autonomy of CBI in high-profile cases. The Chief Justice Gogoi was delivering a keynote address at the D.P. Kohli Memorial Lecture, where he said that unfortunately CBI's failures have always drawn more attention. He pointed out that particularly in high-profile and politically sensitive cases, the CBI probe has not met the judicial scrutiny. Chief Justice of this country, of Supreme Court, highlighted the vacancies in CBI and said that all these concerns have an adverse impact on the independence, on the autonomy of India's premier investigative agency. Effectively, he opined that CBI should get autonomy through a statutory act, just like the Comptroller Auditor General of India, just like the CAG. Now, if you've been following our conversations closely, time and again, we have raised this issue of separating the functioning of CBI from the government. Time and again, we've raised the issue of giving more power to the CBI, giving more independence to the CBI, of bringing about legal constitutional changes in an act so that this caged parrot can be freed. Tonight we ask this question: when will this caged parrot be released? Can the current government do that? Before we go to our guests, listen in to Chief Justice of India, Ranjan Gogoi.
Unfortunately, attention is more often than not drawn to failure than success of any public institution. True, in a number of high-profile cases, some politically sensitive cases, the agency has not been able to meet the standards of judicial scrutiny. Equally true, it is that such lapses may not have happened infrequently. Such instances reflect systemic issues and indicate a deep mismatch between institutional aspirations, organizational design, work culture, and governing politics. Let me share with you some areas of crucial concern so far as the CBI is concerned. And as I said, what is reflective of the CBI is also reflective of the entire police force. The constitutional and legal ambiguity that surrounds federal institutions is not entirely unheard of, but lack of clearly demarcated spheres of functioning and overlapping areas of influence severely compromise both the integrity and efficacy of the institution.
Let's say good evening to Deepak Sharma, founder of India Samvad, joining us from Delhi. ML Sharma, former CBI Special Director, and Vivek Reddy, spokesperson for the BJP, made. But let me take this across to Vivek Reddy. Vivek Reddy, in 2013, Arun Jaitley wrote a detailed piece. And this was around the time that the coal scam hearing was happening. This was around the time that the Supreme Court had pulled up the CBI and the whole cage parrot comment was made. And Arun Jaitley gave a detailed list of pointers on how CBI needs to be empowered, needs to be made more independent. He said that the CBI should have two different wings, and director of the CBI should head the entire organization. Under him, a separate directorate of prosecution should function. He said that the investigative wing and the prosecution wing of the CBI should act independently. He then went on to say that the term of this director of CBI and director of prosecution should be fixed, and that they should not be considered for re-employment by the government in any other branch after their retirement. The list goes on, actually. It's a very exhaustive piece. Unfortunately, this was written in 2013. We are in 2019. None of this has been implemented. Why has the BJP forgotten about its own plan to revamp the CBI?
Well, the issue is that, first of all, would the mere would distinct lines being drawn between the prosecution and the investigative part of CBI essentially tackle this problem. That's the issue which Mr. Arun Jaitley had suggested. The point is that the investigative wing and the prosecution wing are always different in prosecutions. They are never merged together, or there is never overlapping of any functions there. Whoever does the prosecution, the public prosecutor or any other person involved in the prosecution or a special prosecutor of the CBI will not involve himself in the investigation, nor will the investigation involve itself in the prosecution. This is one. The second issue is that, as the previous learned panelist pointed out, the larger issue is on the leadership of the CBI. I think the leadership, if the leadership is gotten right, if we get the right leadership of CBI, by appointing the right director, by appointing the right person as the head of the CBI, that's when we can see that there will be an insulation in all other aspects, whether it is a political insulation that we are talking of, whether it is efficient functioning that we are talking of, whether it is ensuring that other extraneous considerations do not come in between the functioning of the CBI. All these issues can be tackled if the head of the CBI is properly appointed. Now, if we look at how the head of the CBI is appointed, the last head of the CBI was appointed by a panel of the leader of opposition, representative of the Chief Justice of India and the Prime Minister, in which two of them participated actively, the representative of the Chief Justice and the Prime Minister of India. So, the Chief Justice cannot be saying that his own representative has not put in a proper person. It is the Chief Justice's representative who has accepted and acknowledged and put a seal over the appointment of a certain person as the director of the CBI, whether it is the present director or the previous directors. So what we see today is that we have created the best structure in
you think it is the best structure? It's obviously not working, Mr. Vivek Reddy. You think it's the best structure? It's obviously not working. Let's start by naming the most recent, CBI chief who's now facing allegations of corruption, the special director who had to be forced out and faces allegations of corruption, the ones before that. So you have Alok Verma, you have Rakesh Asthana, you have Ranjit Sinha, you have the one before that. One after the other CBI chiefs,
no, what
all controversial. Obviously, the system that we have in place is not working, and we are not able to insulate the CBI either from political pressure or from any other kind of corruption. So there is something seriously wrong. Now, here is the Chief Justice of India who's making suggestions, just like Arun Jaitley did in 2013. The point is, can this be done or not? Deepak Sharma, good evening.
List out about 150, 200 major crimes, including interstate crimes, including crimes involving VIPs and so on and so forth, which have national and international dimensions, to be investigated by CBI without depending on the whims and fancies of the state governments concerned. I think this is a wonderful idea.
Well, in fact, I'm glad that we have a panelist who agree on something that sounds constructive and perhaps can be taken up by the government to ensure that we bring about an agency that is independent, that is fair and free from all kinds of pressure when it investigates these cases, no matter how high profile that case is. I'm going to thank all of our three panelists for joining us this evening. The Chief Justice of India has definitely made a thought-provoking comment there. What remains to be seen is whether this government brings about these changes. The judiciary can speak about it, the media can speak about it, even opposition can speak about it, but it's only those who are in power, who have the control, to bring about the changes. Will we see the political will for a brand new independent CBI, or will the cage parrot continue to drag its feet in the high-profile cases?